lawmakers, or one of the lawmakers who got a first-hand look for the first time at Douglas High murder scene this weekend, had filed a bill over the summer that would shorten the waiting period for gun purchases put in place by the MSD Public Safety Act. The wait now is at least 3 days, but longer if the records check isn't done in that time. HB 17 would make the 3 days even without the results of a records check. State Rep Joel Rudman is the sponsor of that bill. He's a Republican from Navarre in the Panhandle and right here at the table with us today. So nice to have you in-house today.
It's always good to be here. I just wish it was under more pleasant circumstances.
100%. Let's start with that. That was your first time walking through that building yesterday. How did that go?
Well, you know, to be perfectly honest with you, Glenna, I was afraid. I was afraid of the feelings that I might, have to deal with by walking those hallways where the tragedy took place. I had actually visited Marjory, Stoneman, Douglas twice in the past, but had never been allowed within the gates. So this was a really special moment for me. And again, I wasn't sure exactly the emotions that would hit me, but the emotion of fear quickly gave way to an emotion of anger. When you walked all three of those corridors, first floor, second floor, third floor, and you realized all these systematic failures that took place that day. So from fear, I moved into anger, but then you know what? After talking to family members, we had a little debriefing after taking the tour, and after hearing their perspective, I left just more emboldened than ever. I know we're on the right path. Hearing their stories and seeing this tragedy and hearing the kind of play-by-play, you realize that this was definitely a mental health situation gone bad. And of course, we spoke 2 months ago about making that a priority of our legislature.
We did. I know you're heavily involved in that too, but just from our perspective here and from covering this from that moment, security failure, mental health failure, gun purchase failure, there are levels and levels and levels of failures here. And it was really interesting to then, a month later, cover a very conservative legislature and then Governor Rick Scott signing off on what were unprecedented laws involving guns. I like to say gun safety, not gun control, because that's what we're all looking for. Your bill that you filed would undo that, potentially undo the waiting period, specifically if a background check hadn't been completed in the 3 days, which would essentially mean, the crux of your bill means somebody may be taking possession of a gun without the state knowing whether he or she has been a criminal in the past.
So Glenna, to give you an idea of where the bill came from, so the bill originated from my district, from District 3 up in the Florida Panhandle. We have gun store owners, FFL dealers, who basically came to me when I took office with a list of 51 names of law-abiding citizens who had waited over 2 years for the result of their background check. Now, you and I both know in the 21st century, nothing takes 2 years.
So isn't that a background check process issue and not a gun purchase issue?
Well, what happened, Glenna, back in 2018, like you say, as part of that bill, we changed the statutes in the state of Florida. For years, the statute had always read that FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, they had a maximum of 3 business days to get the details on the background check. Now, truthfully, it usually takes a few minutes, so we gave them the benefit of the doubt and gave them 3 business days. In 2018, that statute was changed to read from 3 business days to essentially as long as they want to take. So guess what? When you give a government agency all the time in the world to do a fairly simple task, guess how much time that task takes? It takes all the time in the world.
Totally fair point. But again, are you comfortable then potentially there will be people taking possession of guns, if this comes to pass, who don't have a criminal background check?
So they will have a criminal background. The background check does not end after 3 working days, 3 business days. So really you're talking about 5 or 6 days total when you factor in weekends. So the background check does not stop there. And remember, all we're doing, we're rolling the statute back to how it used to read prior to 2018. And again, talking with the Parkland families, walking those halls, of all the failures that happened that day, Glenna, there was not a failure with this sentence in the statute. That was not the problem that day.
I'm not sure you were able to hear what we talked to Senator Polsky about, but she had made a point that she doesn't feel like some of the bills, especially that the Democrats are filing, will get any traction. I guess one of my questions to you is there any sign that you had from your colleagues that your bill will get traction, or maybe not? But aside, answer that for a second. I have a two-part question here. And her other point was there are laws that they're going to try for that will never see the light of day, but you don't stop trying.
Right.
Okay.
So to answer the first question, I guess we'll see. You know, again, I listen to my constituents. I listen to FFL dealers across the state. They're telling me their concerns. They're telling me their problems. I had a constituent back in the 3rd District. You know, we're a heavily military area.
Right,
we're
right.
surrounded by Air Force bases and naval bases. I had a constituent, a military spouse, whose husband was deployed. While he's deployed, she gets a stalker. She gets threats against her life. So she goes to a gun dealership on a Friday wanting to purchase a firearm for her own safety, for her own protection. Well, remember, under current statutes, she could not get that gun on the Friday. And because it was a Friday, remember, Friday does not count as the first day. Saturday doesn't count, Sunday doesn't count.
Be Wednesday.
Monday actually was Memorial Day, so Monday didn't count.
Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can't pick up your gun on the 3rd day, so she waited an entire 7 days to protect herself, and that gave the predator, that gave her stalker 7 days where she was undefended, defenseless.
I just need to know the outcome of that. Is she okay?
She's fine.
Okay.
She's fine. But again, that makes my point, though. The only
Understood.
people who are going to follow that statute are law-abiding citizens. So the only people we're actually cooling off are people who are under threat, people who are trying to protect their own safety.
I want to just, in the short time we have together, did anything about your lawmaking perspective change yesterday on that campus, in that building?
You know, to be honest, it made me more emboldened. You know, we had talked a couple months back here on your show about the need to address this mental health crisis that we have in Florida, and to hear the parents, you know, and I especially want to thank the parents of the victims that I met with. You know, the parents of Gina, Elena, Chris.
Chris's wife, Debbie.
Absolutely, Alyssa.
Chris's wife, Debbie Hickson, reminds people that it's not only parents
That's
who
right.
lost. Yes.
And of course, I especially want to make mention of Alex's dad, Max. So after speaking with these family members, Glenna, it became obvious to me that I wasn't the only one who thought we had a mental health crisis. This cold-blooded
front and
murderer,
center.
he should have been Baker-acted a long time ago. He never was. He should have been arrested a long time ago, and he never was.
Rep. Joel Rudman, great to have you at the table. Please do come back soon.
Thank you so much.
I know you have band practice at 9. We have to get you.
That's right.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.